Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Texas Motor Speedway. It's the American Heart Association 600, race 5 of the AT&T Champ Car World Series season. It's great to be back in the United States. We've had a lot of races outside the U.S., 3 in Australia, last time out in Mexico. Now we're back here in Texas after the Challenger Series had a thrilling race in Night City last night. It's time for the World Series in the IndyCar World Championship to do its thing here in Fort Worth. Texas Motor Speedway, an absolutely crazy race. Almost every time we come here, it's always something interesting. It's always something different. It's always something special. From 1997, when this track first opened, American Open Wheel Racing has had a home here in the heart of Central Texas. 26 drivers look to etch their name into the history books as a winner here at Texas Motor Speedway. The 600-kilometer race, the spectacle, has had many different faces throughout its history. But it's always been something to enjoy, and we're glad you get to join us here on ABN Sports for live coverage, flag to flag, of the American Heart Association 600. What a time we get to see here this evening with the championship pretty well wide open. Cuny Kenosha taking the points lead last time out in Mexico City, but it's a thin margin, 3 points between Kenosha and Thomas Rogers. Kenosha's only gone and taken pole position, while Rogers has to struggle from the back of the field. We'll talk about the starting grid here in just a moment. But 26 cars looking to do battle. Wyatt Jones, a fantastic qualifying performance after a shaky start to the race in Mexico last time out. But this is also the race where we have upgrades for the first time. First, for those unfamiliar, the World Series has upgrades, car development that goes on. There's different development windows that teams can pursue to use. There's 4 of them throughout the season. Teams have to pass through their development strategies, the development plans, and once they're approved, they can apply them to their cars. 26 cars, a lot of money exchanging hands as teams begin that pursuit for glory, for the championships that they didn't have to spend money on last year. There was a development freeze last year when we came back on the other side of the pandemic. So everyone was largely just sort of sitting stationary last year on the development front. That is no longer the case. We are now wide open. The first 4 races, everyone was as the cars rolled out of the factory, as they're rolling out from the race shop every week. Now a little bit of R&D has gone into the season, and everyone beginning to really plot their trajectory, not only towards the Indianapolis 500 in May, but towards the rest of the season. Once you look at the World Championships in focus over the next 20 races, what does that pathway look like? And a lot of different teams have taken a lot of different strategies. 4 different manufacturers for the engines: Honda, Toyota, Ford, and Chevrolet. All of those factors have a play in all of this as well. So we get to see everything in full song here this weekend. And again, it's a very fun time here in the World Series.
To your cars.
As you hear the official command for drivers to head to their cars here. So, fun work begins. As we begin the factor here. So let's go ahead and roll through the starting grid. It's Cuny Kenosha and Wyatt Jones front of the field. Wyatt Jones' best starting position since Nazareth when he started on pole last season as a rookie. Cuny Kenosha, as we mentioned, the points leader. Natalia Vulicevic and Joya Takani make up row number 2, so Atomic Autosport and Arrowhead Racing sitting in that second row for Ford and Toyota, respectively. Row 3, the defending world champion, who's had a very rough start of the season, Nicole Lechty, starting alongside David Wessel in row number 3. A fantastic run for Lechty in qualifying yesterday. Sakura Ishibashi and Mia Valdez, the other 2 Cat Devil Racing cars, sitting in row number 4. Those 2 Fords make up 7th and 8th, and it's more Fords rounding out the top 10. The Fords looking really strong here in Texas on the Super Speedway. Catherine Hart and Evangeline Porter making up 9th and 10th on the grid. Esther Hobson, Cameron Jackson, sit out just outside the top 10. Honda's having some support there, 11th and 12th for Dragon Motorsports, but a lot of them will be further down the order. Simona Leroux and Kage Kobayashi sit in row 7. Remember, Red Bull Highlight Racing with Lecty and Leroux, the lead Chevrolet contingency. Kobayashi with Vanta Racing, a good qualifying effort. A 10-place grid penalty for an engine failure last time out, pushing him down the order. BK Glover and Shufan Zheng in row 8. Hometown race for BK Glover. Let's see how he does from 15th on the grid. Artyom Kozlov and Marcus Petrovich sit in row number 9. Petrovich, another driver, serving a grid penalty, finishing up his penalty that he earned all the way back from Adelaide. Matthias Michelin in row 10, 19th place alongside Alicia Kovalkiewicz is how they will start here. That is 19th and 20th on the grid. Bianca Lucero and Asher Crane make up row 11, 21st and 22nd. Very low from where they were just a couple weeks ago. Asher Crane was a contender for pole position back in Melbourne. Elise Alexander and Thomas Rogers sit in row number 12. A very low effort for Thomas Rogers, 24th on the grid. But keep an eye on him. This is the type of racing that he prefers. And then you have the GOAT, Stephanie Porter-Kelly. Not a great qualifying effort. 25th, dead last in qualifying. Von Sonnen having to serving a grid penalty here tonight. And then we'll roll that through one more time and just so everyone can kind of see what the field is dealing with here this evening. Again, an absolutely wild time here tonight, and we get to see all of it in tow. 26 cars, all of it's going to be phenomenal. 248 laps, 600 kilometers, about 372 miles for those using the Imperial units here this evening. And we are not too far away from the command to fire engines here tonight. As again, we will roll the starting grid at the bottom of your screen. Kenosha and Rogers separated by 3 points going into this. Make it 4 with Kenosha on pole position here tonight. This is a race where we usually see a lot of things happen. This is the first oval race of the season. Not as many cars as last season. Last season we had 30 cars here. We have 4 cars less, thanks to the Challenger Series, taking 32 cars out west to Arasaka Arena in Night City. But still 26 high-powered machines, 800 horsepower maximum in these cars. We're at Texas closer to 600 horsepower. But these cars will still touch about 210, 215 miles an hour. They're pretty trimmed out. Everyone getting their first feel for low downforce racing after 4 road course races back-to-back in Adelaide and Melbourne and Mexico City. From here, we had the Nashville, then Homestead, and then the Indianapolis 500 in May. So a lot of high-speed racing coming up here for the World Series and for the Challenger Series as well. They've got some high-speed races as well. Their next race will be in Auto Club Speedway next Saturday. As you just let the field sort of browse through, the Ford F-150, the Raptor Pace Truck, will lead the field to green once more. And it's exciting. It is genuinely an exhilarating time to be a part of this field and for it to all be an ABN Sports 1. For everyone tuning in from around the world, we welcome you to the World Championship, the IndyCar World Championships.
Start your engines.
As you hear the command to fire engines, it is almost showtime. Top to bottom in this field. Reliability has been a question mark. It has been a factor so far in the early going. Is it a factor here today? Thankfully, for the entire field, all the 10-place grid drops that we saw leading into this race have been served, so no one's going to have any carryover on the grid drops going into next week. So here we go. Wyatt Jones on the outside, Cuny Kenosha to the inside lane. Is how it all begins. 26 cars, 13 rows to kick things off. The American Heart Association 600. Last did this race in 2018 with the American Heart Association in support. We're bringing it back here. Huge week of racing. And we get to see it all. As the pace truck pulls in, the green flag flies, and away we go. 248 laps away. Who's going to grab the six-shooters at the end of this race? Early going, Kenosha and Vilicevic get a good run on the start. Again, a lot of faces. It's going to be a contender that were not contenders the last time out of Mexico. Now that we have the upgrades in swing, just about every team put some investment into this first upgrade window. The next upgrade window isn't until after Indianapolis. And immediately the Fords look strong, but so do some of the Chevrolets. That is Lecty, the Red Bull car, that's at 78 on the inside lane, leading Sakura Ishibashi forward. Also looking in tow, center of your screen, Wyatt Jones to the outside. Inside is David Wessel, filling in for Andrew Draco, who will return for Nashville. Cars 3 wide. That is Takani, far outside lane, with Kozlov and Valdez on the inside lane. There is Porter in the 81, also getting around. Takani on the outside lane where there's no grip. And so is Michelin in that Petrobras number 99. Falling backwards a little bit. His Chevrolet not looking so tight. And he's actually in the wall there, and he's going to get passed by just about everybody. But everyone's surviving the opening laps here in Texas. Kenosha leads. But it's the rivalry renewed between Kenosha and Nicole Lecty, the championship contenders from last season, at the front once again, and once again it's at Texas that they meet first time. Remember the trouble that Lecty's had with Texas Motor Speedway. Got injured here in practice back in 2020. Got her first non-road course win here at Texas in 2022. 5 cars under a blanket here, with Kenosha all the way down to Vilicevic in 5th. Wyatt Jones to the inside of Lecty. And in contention here. Bringing back the Menards look for the first time this season. We'll see it in a limited time, guys, throughout this season. 6th place right now is Wessel, ahead of Simona Leroux. Now you see the number 6, PK Glover. One of the 2 Texans in the field. Glover from the nearby town of Mineral Wells, just a little west of here. Battling his way right now in the top 10, but about to get passed by his teammate, Artyom Kozlov, and pushed out. And just behind is Esther Hofson, the Miami native, sporting the appropriate Visit Florida number 28 machine. Average lap speed so far at the moment around the 208 mile-an-hour range. Fastest lap is 25.727 set by Mia Valdez. It's 210.3 miles an hour. And Valdez is in this group just ahead of Glover there. That's the 34, the Embraer car. Kenosha and Lecty nose to tail. Then it's Wyatt Jones back up to 3rd. Hot track today. Should provide some tire wear, should spread things out a little bit. We've seen Texas races go one of 3 different ways. The way that we're expecting, which is going to be sort of down the middle, pretty hectic at the start and the restarts and on fresh tires. There's the way that we've seen occasionally where it really thins out and passing's just way too difficult. And then obviously I think the worst case scenario that we used to see back, I think up until like 2018, where it was just an all-out pack race. It was almost like a faster Daytona. Not expecting to see that today. It's obviously 2 lanes, 3rd lane not really that effective. but also a lot harder to keep the car on the inside lane, keeping it from drifting. Everyone being able to sort of jockey those cars around, use their in-car adjustments, their roll bars, and their weight jacker. Try to get some prime real estate, use those engine maps. Everyone's got 8 of them to try to save some fuel. We've seen strategy be a big factor in this race too. Lechty led that lap over Wyatt Jones and Kinoshita. Kinoshita, the pole sitter, being passed by Wyatt Jones for second. And now here comes Artyom Kozlov. Kozlov looking really good as a race car. Was not so hot in qualifying. To Kozlov's standard. Obviously the defending Indianapolis 500 champion, now sitting P3. Glover sitting P4. Team Impulse has come to play. But obviously we are 13 laps in to a 248 lap odyssey. There's a lot that can come and go, and we know reliability is a huge factor, not only for the Hondas, but for the Toyotas as well, those twin-turbo inline fours. But Kozlov wasting no time chasing after and catching Nicole Lechty. Lechty leads, Kozlov wants a piece of it. And Kozlov through 1 and 2 will take a piece of it. Side by side, Jones in third. Glover, Ishibashi, Velisevich, Leroux. Then you have Mia Valdez and Kuni Kinoshita. Just sitting outside that range in 10th is David Wessel. Then you have Esther Hobson. Evangeline Porter's made her way forward into 12th. Special look here, Cameron Jackson wearing the American Heart Association on his car. All white and red. Another of the two Texans there, Glover and Jackson. Close friendship there between the two. Jackson in 13th at the moment. Stephanie Porter Kelly, who started this race 25th on the last row, already up into the top 14, looking at trying to make her way into the top half of the field, and has had assistance in the 96 of Alicia Kovalkiewicz. And you're seeing 2 SPACs begin to split. That is the 95 of Takani, the 21 of Petrovic, the 31 of Catherine Hart. There is the 76 of Von Sonnen. There is Thomas Rogers, who's made his way around Shufan Zhang. There is the 42 of Kobayashi. There is Alexander the 11, there's Crane, and Lucero before you get to Michelin, who tagged the wall earlier. He has been well off pace. Front of the field. These two huge rivals. The 3 and the 33. The 33 in pursuit, Sakura Ishibashi. Longtime driver of that Team Impulse number 3, dispatched, replaced unceremoniously by Team Impulse in favor of Kozlov. Kozlov filled in for an injured Ishibashi after Ishibashi was injured in 2020 at the Grand Prix of Indianapolis on the Indy Road Course. Kozlov obviously podiumed on debut in Denver Motorsports Park and then won the season finale in Fontana. That was in 2020. 2021, Kozlov got the race for the first time at the Indianapolis 500 for Striker Motorsports. And then obviously the 2022 season, everything kind of ground to a halt. They believe in Kozlov. Kozlov has delivered with an Indianapolis 500 win. But Sakura Ishibashi has also had career year after career year since moving to Cat Devil Racing. And now these two fight once again, and there has been no love lost between these two. These two have made contact. They have crashed into each other. And now they're once again at the front of the field. BK Glover's made it up to third with support from Valdez. Valdez looking for third. Intriguingly, Kinoshita has struggled to keep pace, has been dispatched, and is now in this group here with Wyatt Jones. It's Jones, Kinoshita, Porter, That's the 60. That's the Advent Health, number 60 at Porter Kelly. Sisters there, Porter and Porter Kelly, Evangeline and Stephanie. That is in the top 10 now for Porter Kelly and for Kovalkiewicz, who were both outside the top 20 at the start. They are in the top 20 now. They are in the top 10. And again, huge news for Kenosha, who is falling backwards as Thomas Rogers has crawled up a little bit. Rogers not too far away. These two are about to meet in the middle. And of course, if you're someone like Shufin Zhang, you're needing that a little bit because you're a little bit behind the 8 ball as well. And if you're someone like Kozlov, like Ishibashi, like Lekti, like Leroux, who are all in this lead group, you're eating right now. Mia Valdez right now sitting in third ahead of Glover. Side by side, Ishibashi wants the race lead. And Ishibashi will get the race lead. New race leader, once again. And it's going to be a wild change from the first 4 races of this season where we had some sporadic lead changes. You're going to see lead changes just about every other lap. They're going to run up the lead change counter pretty heavily. And you see that already. Kozlov peeking to the inside, using that weight jacker through 3 and 4 to get White to the right to the white line. But struggling here in turns 1 and 2. And Texas is a very unique track that we get to see very sporadically. It's not symmetrical. Turns 1 and 2, when they reprofiled the track after 2017, they made turns 1 and 2 flatter. Turns 3 and 4, about the same profile when they repaved it. 24 degrees of banking in turns 3 and 4. In turn 22, 20 degrees of banking, and it's wider. They went from being about 60 feet, from about 80 feet to about 100 feet. So they added 20 feet of width to turns 1 and 2. So there's a lot more space, but because it's flatter, it's harder to find a balance to. And you're seeing that here as here comes Glover to second place. Teammates for Verizon Team Impulse to the front. Obviously, these two had a way better qualifying effort than Thomas Rogers, who's trying to join these two at the front. But Glover and Kozlov feasting right now. Former teammates in this regard, all in the top 3. And then in 4th is Mia Valdez, the 2014 world champion, returning last season to replace Valerie Fang. Now racing full-time once again. And currently trying to pass her teammate there. It's a 3-team assault in the top 6. Impulse 1 and 2. Cat Devil Racing 3 and 4. Highlight Racing 5 and 6. And if people didn't think that the team game mattered, oh, it does. You're seeing it right there. 2 by 2 by 2 in the top 6. 7th and 8th. There you go. Atomic Autosport, both their cars, 7th and 8th. Not quite working together. Porter wanting to get ahead of Velisevich here. Velisevich saying, yeah, let's hold on a second. And just behind these two in 9th and 10th, not teammates by any stretch of the imagination, it's Alicia Kovalkiewicz for Arrowhead Racing and Steffi Porter Kelly for Striker Motorsports, Toyota and Chevrolet, 9th and 10th there. Wyatt Jones with Kenosha. That's Jackson and Hofson just outside the top 10, 11th through 14th right here. And you're seeing the fragmenting of the field. Everyone on different strategies, different platforms, different development plans. This is everyone's first really big chance to gauge what they have for these next 4 races. A lot of it being high speed. Nashville going to be a little bit different, but then you go to Homestead, and then the 111th Indianapolis 500. And Matthias Michelin already about to go a lap down here. 34 laps in. Remember, he tagged the wall on the opening lap after being forced 3 wide. If he has got a damaged tie rod in the back of that car, he is going to be suffering for a decent amount of this race. But also the lap times have slowed down from 210 to 201 miles an hour for those at the front of the field. Matthias Michelin, to kind of put in perspective, he is down at 191 miles an hour for his lap speeds. He is 10 miles an hour slower and struggling. As the leaders come to him through 1 and 2. Kozlov leads over Glover, over Valdez, over Ishibashi. Here comes Glover. Right as they approach lap traffic, Valdez gonna get the lion's share of this one because Kozlov got put behind Michelin. And they're gonna get Michelin out of the way, and Valdez, not Valdez, that was Kozlov giving Michelin a bit of a shove out into the gray. Valdez now right behind Glover. As here comes Leroux looking to the outside to try to find a way around the lap traffic. As Porter's gotten around Leroux. And they're really struggling out of 1 and 2, where it's a lot slower and flatter, where it's a little bit more intensive on the tires. You're seeing that effect there as they slow down out of 1 and 2. Porter and Leroux also getting through here on Michelin. And then you have Kovalkiewicz, who's gotten clear of Porter Kelly, and of Velisevich, who really dropped places there. Glover got to lead a couple laps here at home. Kozlov wants to take it back. And will take it back. Glover now has to deal with Valdez. The lap times, they are dropping quickly. We are 40 laps in here at Texas. Well into the first green flag stint of the race. So what are we able to read into these first 40 laps of this race? That is, I think, the really big question, because a lot of these cars, you would imagine, are being set up for the 500, the Indianapolis 500 in May. That is not always the case. Texas, for the longest time, used to be the development playground to lead up to Indy, because it was the only track capable of the same speeds of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. That's no longer the case. The top speed we saw on the opening lap at 210.3 miles an hour. This is an intermediate speedway. Indianapolis has super speedway packaging to it. What's the difference between a speedway like Texas and a super speedway like Indianapolis? One, the speeds. At Indianapolis, you're touching 236 miles an hour on a lap. Your average race lap speed is about 226, 227 miles an hour. You're also trimmed out. There's not as much aero on the car. You're also not focusing so much on chassis. Your whole idea is top end speed and trying to get it to hold that top end speed the longest. A track like right now, like what we're seeing, is very heavy on the chassis. We're seeing a lot of chassis developments at the front of the field right now. For those that were looking more aerodynamic, they may not see all of those benefits right here in Texas. They may see them a little bit more in a couple weeks when we head to Homestead, Miami. That's the race right before Indianapolis, where we'll actually get a good gauge of where those cars are at. Right here, this is a huge chassis track, and we've seen a lot of chassis-driven cars win here at Texas, whether it was Red Bull Highlight Racing, whether it's been Atomic Autosport. This was Cat Devil Racing's playground for the longest time. Remember the domination last season that Cat Devil Racing put on? They had a very chassis-driven car, but it let them get nowhere when it came to Indianapolis, when it came to Fontana, when it came to Pocono. That's going to be even more so the case when you look at this calendar this season. Those that are looking at the chassis, like what we're assuming we're seeing right now, I should say. Because we're not talking about Impulse here, which have been notoriously anti-chassis. What we're seeing here, if all these teams have gone chassis forward on their first development slot, they are peeling back on Indianapolis in favor of the long-term, the long season plan, the championship ambition. What's the one thing Team Impulse has missed over the last 3 years? A world championship. Obviously, they won one with Hazel Lacasse in 2021. They missed out in 2022. Weren't really even close in 2022. And they were even further away last year. Not even in the conversation. All 3 of those years, they won the Indianapolis 500. If they want championship glory, like what they've had, they might need to focus a little bit more on that chassis. And you're beginning to see that here. As it looks like that is the 42. That is Kage Kobayashi that's now been put a lap down. But what this could indicate for Impulse is a change in direction in terms of how they are approaching the season. Instead of being so Indy 500 driven like what they have been the last 3-4 years, they may be focusing on the long-term game of the World Championship because they have spent so long outside of that battle. It has been Cat Devil Racing versus Red Bull Highlight Racing the last 2 seasons. Now you have Atomic Autosport that could be in the mix. Striker Motorsports, with the Chevrolet pre-upgrade, they had a car in the mix with Elise Alexander. Now they have Porter Kelly back in the fold and in the top 10. They could be in the mix. Impulse cannot afford to be left behind on that team championship game when there's so much money attached to the team championship standings. Top 10 teams in the team's championship standings at the end of the year get a cash bonus. The team's champion, the best team of the season, gets $18 million. That is a huge dividend if you can go for it. Impulse has spent the last 3 years outside of that bonus. They want to be back in. They want to be back in winning championships. And you don't just do that by winning Indianapolis and not much else. And we've seen that already. Thomas Rogers already a race winner this season. And he was the driver that I think a lot of people had picked as the person to probably go winless this season on that team. He's already got a race win. Kozlov working on that now. Glover right now sitting in the mix, and you see all the lap traffic in the way now as this fight goes on. We are lap 52 of 248. Looking to start lap 53 here. The pit window is expected to be closer to about 70 laps, give or take. Obviously, it's a little bit hotter than what we saw in practice on Friday night. Obviously, nighttime versus daytime. The speeds were just a little bit better on Friday night as well. But that's what we're expecting to see here as Glover struggles to put both Takani and Astor Crane a lap down. I believe there was also Bianca Lucero. It was Lucero also going a lap down there. But a lot of cars beginning to go a lap down rapidly here. This is where the have and have-nots come out. Here comes David Wessel, go to lap down here. Wessel down in the 18th position. And you look at where Artyom Kozlov is at right now. Here's a statistic that I don't think a lot of people want to hear right now. The last person to win at Texas and Indianapolis in the same year, not in this decade. Miguel Valdez, 2014. Sorry, not Miguel Valdez, Christina Espinosa, 2014. That was Christine's last Indianapolis 500 win, 2014. She won here and then won at Indy later that year. A full decade ago. And by the way, Espinosa did not win the championship. That was Valdez, the 2014 world champion. So it has some merit as Kozlov goes to put Michelin another lap down. This is 2 laps down for Michelin, who is genuinely suffering at the moment with some sort of suspension issue. Kozlov easier to get around him that time. And here's the next group that's about to go a lap down. Wyatt Jones in this group alongside Kuni Kinoshita, Anastasius von Sonen, Shifan Zhang. If you can't tell, I think Team Impulse was waiting for it today. They really wanted to get back on the right track. Speaking with Asumi Matsuo going into this season, it seemed like a broad shift was coming for the team. It seemed like there was a lot of dissatisfaction in that team being a winner of the Indianapolis 500, but not really being featured long-term in how the season played out. They were able to poach a couple wins away, but they've not been happy with the lineup. Basically, the team was put on notice. Perform or find a different team to be on. And you're seeing that right now because both obviously Rogers has already won a race this season, about to go a lap down here. But here's Glover and Kozlov putting the championship leader, Kuni Kinoshita, a lap down. And Wyatt Jones putting both of them a lap down. And suddenly, it feels very, very different. The landscape of the World Series. 61 laps in, it sort of seems like everyone's been put on notice. All 26 cars still running in this field, but it is very, very much a Team Impulse game, and everyone else is just having to play it. As they get around Von Sonen, put Von Sonen a lap down. Von Sonen's going to do a good job here from 26th, once again to 14th. The same qualifying woes we've seen Von Sonen, the Austrian, for Kuni Fakita in before. He is in once again after qualifying poorly in Mexico as well. But he's already up 12 spots, trying to go up 13. He's just trying to catch up to Shifan Zhang, who is in this group with Esther Hofson and Cameron Jackson. All 3 teammates together for Dragon Motorsports there. They are the leading Honda team, and just unfortunately there's only 5 Hondas in the field, and the other 2 are Von Sonen and Crane. And you're seeing the teammates work together, Glover and Kozlov. And Dragon Motorsports putting together a little bit of a roadblock as Hofson begins the 1-mile-an-hour pass down the back straightaway on her team boss. Frantic as the traffic situation continues to unfold and unfurl. We are already down to 10 cars on the lead lap. Natalia Velisovich, the last car on lead lap at the moment. And this was a close qualifying field. This was a close, like, one-lap pace field. Started off close and then thinned out pretty quickly. To front of the field. Artyom Kozlov, who themselves have had a pretty interesting time at Texas in their Champ Car career. And then BK Glover, first and second at the moment. Glover was doing really good here last season before a mechanical failure ended his day. Glover's never won at home. He's never won on home turf. He would love a chance to do so this evening. Again, 10 cars on the lead lap. We are approaching lap 70 now. When do those first pit stops take place is the big question. I have a feeling there's a couple cars already in pit lane are thinking about it heavily. There's the Ty Velisevich in 10th. Not too far away from going a lap down. There's Porter, Valdez, and Ishibashi. This is third, fourth, and fifth, by the way. Lead lap on track. They've gotten around the Dragon Motorsports trio, but they're on a little bit of an island. And then sixth place, there you'll see Alicia Kovalkiewicz from 24th on the grid to the top 10, ahead of Nicole Lechty, ahead of Simona Leroux. Stephanie Porter-Kelly sitting in the 9th spot here. But lap times, they have fallen off dramatically. Even for the leaders right now, they've fallen off dramatically from 210 to 190 miles an hour is where we're at. And you see, here comes Kozlov and Glover down pit lane. So we made it 73 laps. Porter's in now as well. Outstays Mia Valdez. So pit stops have arrived. And in comes Valdez now. So about 72 to 75 laps is the pit window here. A lot of cars coming down pit lane, more cars coming in now. That was Petrovic and Wessel coming down pit lane. Very interesting. There is Artyom Kozlov, that red and black Horizon machine. Cars coming down pit lane, stretching their fuel window a little bit further. That was Nicole Lechty who did so. But drivers taking the time to lead some extra laps here. Coming out of pit lane is Petrovic. Serbian. No challenge for Kozlov, who is now basically unchecked here. Whoa, trouble, caution's out. Caution has come out for the first time with cars in pit lane. Kobayashi will go around the pace car here. And it seems like it is Ishibashi who was turned around, and it might be. What has happened to Sakura Ishibashi? Some other cars coming down pit lane here. Take a look. This is going to be an uncomfortable lap, I think, for Ishibashi, who was in that mix for the top 5. Oh, sister. Oh, no. That is Kinoshita and Ishibashi, sisters together. Oh, goodness gracious. I don't think they can be any worse. There cannot be much worse of a way to have contact with the teammate. Oh, goodness. So that changes a lot. Obviously a huge reset for a lot of cars in the field. Porticelli, Von Sonnen still in pit lane, 25th and 26th in their pit box. So there was damage there for Von Sonnen in that 76 car. And that'll be Porticelli and Von Sonnen both going a lap down. Von Sonnen, this will be a second lap down. Porticelli going a lap down for the first time. And it is the 3 of Artyom Kozlov leading the way. Anthony Porter will be second. Third place, BK Glover. Fourth place, Wyatt Jones. Mia Valdez in fifth. Simona Leroux in sixth. Some drivers getting back on the lead lap in that exchange. Went from 10 to 13 cars on the lead lap, looking all the way back to Kage Kobayashi in 13th. Now, as we saw in Mexico, we're going to see here, lap cars will go to the inside lane for this restart. So there's going to be a chance that they can fight their way back onto the lead lap here. With the pace that Artyom Kozlov has had, that's going to be difficult. But they're going to have a fighting chance. And still on pit lane is both the 76 and the 60. So they're going to go another lap down after the work that both of those cars put in. Lights are going to go out on the Ford Raptor pace truck. And you're going to see the lap traffic. And the lap traffic not sorted in any particular order. Obviously, the lead lap cars, you're sorted by position. Lap down cars are just wherever you are in the queue, step out and go to the inside lane. And so that's going to be Marcus Petrovic that leads the inside lane here ahead of Elise Alexander, Esther Hobson, Thomas Rogers in that mix as well. shifting down into their drive gear here after saving some fuel under this caution. Near the pit window, 72 to 76 laps. So let's go again. Lap 150 to lap 156 is the next pit window from here. Artem Kozlov leads the way over Porter, Lecty, Leroux. Green flag back in the air, and away we go. And it was a really good launch by Petrovic. The bad part is he's 2 laps down. But he's going to have some significant help from Alexander and from Hofson, who is only 1 lap down. They are in the mix on this restart. Car at the very back, out of the way, out of sight, out of mind. For a moment, that is Ishibashi and Lucero, who have already lost significant pace. Ishibashi significantly wounded. And Kozlov in the hornet's nest. Lap traffic trying to fight their way back. Lead lap cars trying to pounce on the opportunity. That is going to give Simona Leroux a chance at the race lead. Nicole Lecty shuffled backwards as well. New race leader, the 77 of Leroux, who's been on the podium here twice in Texas, once again leads for the first time today. And this is where the fighting gets frantic. Down the back straightaway, Kozlov gets in line with Leroux and clear of the lap traffic as they come out of turn 4. Really good look at the speeds. And just like that, Kozlov back out front. It's easy to keep up in these opening laps on a stint. It's hard to keep up over 72 laps. And that's what we're seeing. Leroux able to keep up right now, but how long will she be able to? Will Porter be able to? Porter's now a lot better off with Glover in pursuit. Cars out of this race, Porter, Kelly, and Von Sonnen both done for the day. Cameron Jackson, one of those cars, stuck a lap down, along with Kenosha, a lap down as well. A lot of good cars a lap down right now. Wyatt Jones on the lead lap right now in the 10th spot. Top 3 in the clear, lead lap cars. Kozlov, Leroux, Porter. Everyone caught up the Ishibashi here, and this is going to check the field up once again. And it checked up Leroux the worst. Here comes Porter. Looking to the front of the field. Porter's not led a lap yet in this race. And that's going to change. The Atomic Autosport driver now front of the field, ahead of Glover, Lecty, and Kozlov. And you see how much that Ishibashi blockade really held up the field. There are good back markers and there are bad back markers, but Ishibashi definitely one of the bad ones. And it's odd because it seems like Ishibashi is obviously wearing a lot more than Kenosha, and Kenosha's biggest concern was going to be immediate gearbox failure. That has not been a thing. There will be another car in threat of going a lap down. That is Bianca Lucero, who is separated from the draft. Lefty once again back out front ahead of Kozlov, Porter in third, Glover fourth. Fifth place is still Simona Leroux. Kozlov has led 59 laps so far in this race, trying to get the most laps led as quickly as possible. Lefty leads that lap. And Lefty realizing that Lucero just could not hang it in on the inside lane there. It will go into 3 and 4. And it will be pretty easy sailing there to get around Lucero that time. But Lefty will drop down to 4th. Again, 4 cars in this fight. Not the end of the world. At least not as we know it. But already this race has been flipped upside down once. Glover back out front. Top 5 back together here. Wyatt Jones in 6th. Then you see Mia Valdez in 7th. Joy Takani 8th. Catherine Hart top 10 at the moment, ahead of Natalia Velisevich. Kaika Kobayashi in 11th, also in the top 10 at the moment. But obviously you saw the cars held up by Ishibashi the worst. Kovalkiewicz one of them, so was Crane. And the leaders will have to encounter Ishibashi one more time at least. I think it's going to be a pretty frequent issue there for Ishibashi. Glover's had a really good lead out here on Lechty. Porter in 3rd. Kozlov in 4th. Glover now pulling the lead out here. Glover back in there pretty quickly. Glover had to have felt at least a little bit nice for a moment. Being out front like that. Now being caught back up, it's Lefty leading. Chevrolet, Ford, and 2 Toyotas in this leading group at the moment. And these 4 cars on their own out front right now. Huge group together here. This is where you find Lechty. This is where, not Lechty, this is where you find LaRoe, Valdez, Wyatt Jones, Felicevich is in this group. There's Takani in this group as well. Crane not far behind. There's Kobayashi right now sitting in the 10th spot. Catherine Hart in 11th. Then there's Crane. It's very interesting. Now that these 4 have gotten together, it's a lot harder for Kozlov and Glover to walk away like they were. A lot of history in this group. Just between, look at, if you kind of take out the Team Impulse equation, which has enough history on its own, Eva Porter and Nicole Lechty, mentor and protege at one point in time. Both of them on the same team. Black Rose Racing. Back in 2017 through 2020 when Nicole joined her mother's team, Rita Lechty, the team manager for Highlight Racing. Lechty spent 4 years learning under Porter. Then went on to win races and become a champion. Something Eva's not done in her career. Eva's not won a race and a high level since the Loudest Ring race in 2016. 8 years it's been going on right now. And Porter once again in the mix for another one. Oh, very close there. That was a really interesting call by Lechty to not take no for an answer on Ishibashi. And it worked out. That time it worked out. Cannot say it works out very often though. Lechty paying the price. They're struggling to get back up to this group of 3. But there is more lap traffic on the way. Yeah, being bit pretty hard by the lap traffic bug this group is. Kobayashi still sitting in the 10th spot with a little bit of buffer. Teammate help there for a moment until Petrich said he wanted to go around Kobayashi there. It's Kobayashi, Crane, and Hart battling for the 10th spot at the moment. Remember, the window for the next set of pit stops is about lap 150. So there's still ways and ways and ways to go here in Texas. And we've still not 100% seen what Team Impulse can do out front. Kozlov and Glover back to the front of the field here. And they counter once again Ishibashi out of turn 2. Oh, Glover. Quick on the draw there to get back to the front of the field. Puts Kozlov under pressure there from Porter. And Lefty once again easy to get around as well. Glover still leads here again. Looking into about lap 150 is the next set of pit stops here, and the field has spread out a little bit, whether it's been by design or not. Next car to go a lap down is going to be Kovalkiewicz here. 13th place is where Kovalkiewicz is at. Car officially out. Oh, that's the 2 car of Thomas Rogers, and that's an engine failure. One of the impulses are out with an engine failure, and it's on the 2 car. One of the championship contenders out. And I think the alarm bells might be sounding a little bit. It's going to be so interesting to see how this plays out. With Rogers now out with an engine failure. That's 10 places down the order for Nashville. And we talk about a lot of high-speed tracks coming up. Nashville's not a track you want to have a grid penalty. It was not an easy place to pass last season. Feels very thoroughly fragmented right now. As Glover leads over Porter over Kozlov. And Letty beginning to lose that positioning. Obviously, Letty in a way better place than they were for Red Bull Highlight Racing up to that point. Glover now leading the way over Kozlov, over Porter. Lechte in fourth is how it sits right now, and lap traffic will become a factor once again. This time, it is in the face of Kage Kobayashi, who's been passed by Alicia Kovalkiewicz. Luis Alexander about to go another lap down. Alexander already. Checking here, Alexander already 2 laps down, so this will be a 3rd lap down for Alexander. Team Impulse 1-2. Atomic Autosport 3rd. With Porter in that P3 position. This is where tires began to give out last time with about 18 laps until the pit window opens. Expecting it to be similar here. Glover working through lap traffic. Kozlov following. See some of the traffic there, and I see Glover once again using his veteran experience. Slice and dice through the field. Glover really pulling away from this group. Hart going a lap down. Kobayashi now a lap down. There's Crane, there's Kovalkiewicz caught up to this field, has caught up to this group at the right time because she has extended her lifespan on the lead lap. Got around Crane, so this puts Kovalkiewicz back in 10th. Puts both the Arrowhead cars in the top 10 because Takani's up in 9th. There's Takani in the 95. But once again, here is Glover. There's Kozlov in tow, and once again, still holding on is Porter. And then deep in this group now is Lechte. Officially on an island. Porter getting around Crane. Kozlov trying to make work happen. 3 cars out of this race. Rogers, Porticelli, and Von Sonnen. 23 cars still running. 10 on the lead lap. And that's about to change big time. Both the Arrowhead cars working together. As Kovalevich tries to go after Takani for 9th and takes 9th away. And here comes both the Team Impulse cars. Takani just can't fight that hard. So now 9 cars on the lead lap. Here comes Glover after Kovalevich. And remember how the pit stop window went last time. We went from having 10 cars to having 13 cars. Whoa! Whoa, trouble for Glover. Trouble for Glover. Huge trouble. That car is really low on power and trying just to make it down to pit lane. Huge let go there for Glover as he comes down pit lane. Almost a huge crash in the process. But once again, reliability woes hit Glover. That is now 2 Impulse cars with reliability problems. 2 cars with reliability issues. Kozlov now leads, but is the only Impulse car on track. And this feels a lot like shades of 2023. We'll figure out if Glover's still in this race or not. Glover is still in this race at the moment. And they're reporting a tire failure, a tire puncture on Glover's car. Glover did a fantastic job to save that machine from going through any more peril. But a tire puncture has thrown his race upside down. Kovalevich stays on the lead lap, but as you can imagine, the pace being showed by Kozlov has sharply declined as they were figuring out if it was another powertrain issue on Glover's car or not. And remember, Kovalevich is in the same boat. If it's a powertrain issue, it's a Toyota issue. And that would have put Arrowhead Racing on a sweating shop too. Because they have been working overtime trying to figure out if they can make it to the end of the race. And they're already off pace compared to the race leaders. Now back at Song, Kozlov will put Kovalevich a lap down officially. And that leaves 7 cars on the lead lap. Wyatt Jones, the next car to go a lap down. Glover went 1 lap down, did not go more than that, thankfully. So there is still a chance that Glover can get himself back into the conversation. But he is off sequence by a little bit. By about 10 to 15 laps at most. Actually, here comes Kovalevich in now. So that window may have shortened. As Kozlov looks to get around Wyatt Jones to put Jones a lap down. Jones not going to fight too awful hard here, but that's because pit stops are underway. Kozlov stays out here. A good chunk of the field staying out at the moment. Kozlov leads the way. And it's a pit stop coming for the 3 team. Porter will lead. Porter led exactly 1 lap before this point. Now he gets to lead another one. As Kozlov comes down pit lane. There's Glover. Who will probably not be at enough pace to join his teammate at the front of the field once again. Not without help. But should be able to race back on the lead lap pretty easily and hold on to it. Working on getting around, that is the 95 Nakani. A lot of cars on pit lane now at this point. Glover driving by all of the cars that have yet to come down pit lane. There's Lechty, the race leader. And Lechty coming down pit lane this time. Glover having the time of his life right now. Now he knows that his car's okay and it was a tire puncture. Driving to the inside, driving to the outside. He is flying right now. Of course, unfortunately, he's not going to be in that lead conversation right now, but looking good right now. Glover is back on lead lap, for those curious. Was able to race his way back to the lead lap. Figure out where he's at in the full thick of things here momentarily, because he has had a chance to really run at full song. He was really the only one unchecked running above 200 miles an hour for about 12 laps. Coming out of pit lane now, that is Leroux. So still on the lead lap premise there. But obviously not quite where he was at before. Obviously not near RDM Kozlov is. I think that was Ishibashi coming down pit lane. Car still leaving pit lane. That was Petrovic you saw leaving. There's Kinoshita, who is not on lead lap. Kinoshita is 3 laps down at the moment. And Glover gets by with no issues there. Glover is now leading this race. So that didn't quite work out the way we had thought it was going to work out. He is leading the race now and pretty well clear of it. In fact, he's had such an unchecked run at the front of the field. Porter's second. How Porter got second by 3 seconds over Kozlov is insane to me. But that's exactly where we're at right now. Porter's sitting second and sitting isolated in second place. There's Kozlov working to get around some of the lap traffic there. That was Alexander and Hart. But Kozlov, they now have a lot of work to do on track just to get back to the lead of the race. I wonder if there was a slower stop there for Kozlov because they were checking on the engine. Because that is a genuine concern with Rogers out of the race. That is in your camp with an engine failure. "100% there is concern there for the 3 car still, for the 6 car especially, after already having issues." Glover now leads by 11.6 seconds. I don't use this term lightly, and it's not a derogatory term in this phase. That is falling upwards. He has somehow fell upwards after having a tire puncture, having to basically come to a stop in 3 and 4. He now leads by about half a lap. No one's had a lead that big all race. He's got it right now. Now, inversely speaking, now Glover's on the back foot. because he's had those fresh tires for a little bit longer. They're not so fresh anymore. Everyone else gets to go full bore still and try to play the catch-up game. Glover's now completely off sequence, but he has a really good runway for it. That is for sure. Right now, it also means that you look at Kozlov, you look at Porter, they are in push, push, push mode big time, trying to make something happen here. 6 cars left on the lead lap. And there's still at least 1 pit stop left in this race. Stuck behind Ishibashi. This is not going to help Kozlov's case at all. Lap leaders as they have been. Ishibashi led 5 laps of this race. 2 laps led by Lecty. 19 led by Valdez. Sorry. 2 laps led by Leroux, 19 led by Lecty, 1 led by Valdez, 72 led by Kozlov, 2 laps led by Porter, and now 50 led by Glover. Kozlov finally clear of Alexander and Hart. Porter trying to play the catch-up game to catch up to BK Glover. You had that large runway. Trying to close the gap. The gap was at 12 seconds. It's now down to under 7 seconds. And Porter not letting Ishibashi slow her down at all. Important here, that's the 7 of Vulicevic. And Ty Vulicevic, teammates there working together. A lot of drafting help in Porter's corner. Remember what we said earlier in this broadcast. Porter has not won a race on any capacity since Lausa's Ring in 2016. She has been in the NAMRA Cup Series. She's been in the AT&T Champ Car World Series throughout those 8 years, but has yet to win since that day in Lausa's Ring, a 0.024 second margin of victory over Jesus Cristobal in Germany. In July, it will be 8 years on the nose. She has been on the podium here in Texas. She is second right now, trying to close in on the race leader, BK Glover, who has never won at home. Never won at home. Glover had a tire puncture, a tire failure that left him stranded in 3 and 4 and crawling to pit lane. He turned that into an 11-second gap that he is nursing right now and has to nurse to get to his final pit stop. We have had one caution in this race. It was for a multi-car crash that took out Stephanie Porter-Kelly and Esteas Fonsonen, as well as wounded Kuni Kinoshita and Sakura Ishibashi. Thomas Rogers fell out with an engine failure, but that did not cause a caution. We've had 3 retirements, 23 cars still running, numerous lead changes, and now a strategy fight to the end of the race. The important metric to think about with here, Porter-Kelly has gone from gaining seconds a lap to gaining 1/10 of a second of a lap. The acceleration has slowed, and Porter knows that it is slowed. It is still 6.1 seconds. Glover's last lap, we'll see when it pops up here. And we'll do a comparison as to where everyone's at on the racetrack. Completing lap 174, Glover's last lap, a 26.969. Glover's lap, 26.691. That's for Porter. Gaining 0.2 of a second there. Kozlov is slower of the 3. Right now, Kozlov slowest of the top 5. Only driver not in the 200-mile-an-hour speed bracket right now. Glover's full push, as is Porter. Think about how long it's been since BK Glover's had a race win. The sentimental idea of winning a home race. It does not get much more home race than here. This track is home to BK Glover right now, and he is leading the way right now, just using the draft from Simona LaRoe to keep himself propelled forward. This track, very local to him. When you go out west to visit Mineral Wells, you take I-30. Take it to where you get off the exit for Weatherford on the State Route 180. Then just drive through. It'll take you to the center of Mineral Wells. That's where Glover calls home. So many drives to and from Texas Motor Speedway for the 6-car team. Think about Cameron Jackson, who's also here, lives in Dallas, lives in a part of the bustling Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Both of them local to this track. This is both their home races, but for Glover, this is his mecca. And everything he's had to fight through for this. The gap is 5.2. Porter still on the charge with fresher tires by about 15 laps. She is going to be faster at this stanza. It's the question of, can she be fast enough to take the lead before Glover comes down pit lane? Everyone's got one more pit stop to make in this race. When does that pit stop take place? Does it take place at lap 200? Does it take place at lap 210? How much time do you give yourself to settle into that final groove? We know Glover will blink first. That is a certain. But can anyone catch him? Can Porter? Can Kozlov? Can Lechty? Can Valdez? Can they do something magical and catch up to Glover here? It seems like it's either Glover or Porter at this stanza of the race. 5 seconds the gap between the two. These are the two that are going to be the focus of the conversation. Artyom Kozlov, as much as they want a race win, as much as they want to win here at Texas, Glover just took the most laps lead point away. Kozlov won last year. Kozlov won the Indianapolis 500. Became the first Russian driver to do so. Made history in that fact last year. Glover's last win came at Fontana in 2018. Porter's came at Loudest Ring in 2016. Porter raced in Champ Car, went to go race in the Namur Cup Series, and then came back. And has been winless since. Last time Glover won a race was Fontana. He was teammates with Ray Taylor, with Adrian Regas, and Jordan Fisher. Was running his own team, Stereo Motorsports, relying on a Ford program that at that point wasn't run by Ford. It was run by Lola. And it failed. Nearly drove Glover out of the sport completely. Found a ride, got on board with Team Impulse, and has been the anchor for the team through thick and thin. The podium finishes, the second places that he's been allotted by the team. It's either he's always finished second to Ishibashi, or to Lacasse, or to Kozlov. He's not had a moment in the sun since he joined Team Impulse to have a race win. And right now we're looking at potentially 60 laps away from that happening. He is in a box right now. Shufin Zhang, Esther Hofson, and Simona Leroux around him. The important thing about this, the gap is now going back up. It was at 4.9. It is now back to 5.1. That's a big metric if you're looking at the numbers there. That means that Glover and Porter, their tire wear has plateaued. It is even and flattened out. This will hurt him a little bit, being stuck behind Ishibashi. But I think we're at the stanza of the race now where the damage has been done and it's a two-horse race. And remember, Porter's got to deal with Ishibashi too. Glover's got draft from 3 cars that right now are quicker than him. They pit later than him. If he can hold on to them, he'll be made. But that is the magical question. Can he do it? It's Wyatt Jones who's gotten around. There is Porter. The driver that, come July, will have been 8 years winless. What does that mean for Porter? She is 28 right now. Last time she won, she was 20. Turning 21 the month after she won at Loudest Ring. She turns 29 this year. And now she's been slowed up not only by her teammate, but by Ishibashi. The bottleneck at its severe point. Glover has led 82 laps at this point. Kozlov has led 72. Kozlov sitting firmly in third, but becoming further and further more in threat by Nicole Lecter, the defending world champion. Porter gets back around Velicevic here. The gap came down obviously a little bit there before she caught up to Ishibashi herself. The gap had come down to 3.8. It's back up 4.26. So still a better trend in favor of Porter than Glover on that exchange with Ishibashi that time. But that road a little bit harder to cross. Glover dealing with the 28 of Hobson. There's Wyatt Jones in between the two. And Wyatt Jones, to his credit, not out of the range either. Wyatt Jones right now sitting in the 9th spot. He's in the top 10. Two cars a lap down, Velicevic and Kovalkiewicz. Wyatt Jones 2 laps down, as is Julia Takani and Asher Crane. Kage Kobayashi 2 laps down as well. Catherine Hart, Cameron Jackson, Shufin Jane, the last car 2 laps down. Esther Hobson 3 laps down. And the gap beginning to shrink once more here. Three seconds even the gap. And again, it's all about pit stops when that last pit stop hits. It's going to be very interesting when this happens. Six cars on the lead lap total right now. Glover, Porter, Kozlov, Lecter, Valdez, Leroux. Porter trying to work around Wyatt Jones. He right now is looking for back-to-back top 10s. Gap continues to shrink a little bit, 2.5 now the gap. Porter will take the lead of this race. The question is for how long? Glover's gotten around Shufin Jang. Shaping up for a very interesting Cinderella story if we get one. That's the big story, if we get one. Coming to 48 laps to go. Still a lot in the woodwork. Traffic getting thicker. Gap is now less than 2 seconds. But now Porter's got more people to pass too. That's Michelin getting passed. Kenosha next up on the block to get lapped again. 46 laps to go. Cars in the pit lane already. We'll make that very interesting. And one of those was Artyom Kozlov. So Kozlov's pit early. And here comes BK Glover. Porter now leads. So Glover in pit lane now. Kozlov slicing and dicing through traffic. Porter leads the lap. When does Porter come in? It's got to be soon. You do not want to leave yourself over to the undercut. Oh, trouble for Shufin Jang as well. Engine lets go on the 20 as she approaches pit lane. But we stay green. Porter in pit lane as well. There's Artyom Kozlov trying to work through traffic, trying to make some inroads here. 14 seconds adrift of the battle for the race lead is where Kozlov was sitting. And now in traffic, that's not going to help. But Kozlov needed to try something different, and an undercut would have been that strategy call to make. And Kozlov slicing through the middle between Kobayashi and Alexander. Kozlov not wanting to wait. Shufin Jang, engine failure, 10-place grid drop for next round in Nashville. As more cars come down pit lane. Nicole Letty led that time by. Porter came down. Kozlov getting around at 21 of Petrovich. The fight continues on. We are in the last 41 laps of this race. There's Porter getting around Takani. And just up the road, there's Glover. Porter getting around, that is LaRoe leaving pit lane. Two-horse race, and now it's straightforward. You gotta somehow find a way to outrun them. Glover in the clear. If the caution does not come out, Glover re-inherits the race lead. And it becomes very straightforward from here. But he's got a lot of lap traffic to deal with. That is Ishibashi. Never mind, that's Wyatt Jones, excuse me. Wrong yellow car, Wyatt Jones. And Wyatt Jones will not make it difficult. Stays out of the way. More cars coming down pit lane. That was Ishibashi, one of those two cars coming down pit lane. That DHL machine in pit lane. So there's some reprieve. That is Nicole Letty just ahead. Letty in danger of going a lap down. Glover in full pursuit. Letty top 5 at the moment. Porter 1.9 behind. That's the gap at the moment. .06. That gap's growing for Glover. But he's got draft. Porter doesn't. Lap traffic can still become a factor. Lechty, we know, has a lot of pace in that 78 machine. Those aren't the cars you worry about. It's the cars you worry about, the Michelins, the Ishibashis. Those are the ones that you worry about. In front of Lechty is the 88 of Lucero. And then I believe that's the 80 of Crane. That is Ishibashi checking the field up. Glover goes outside and clears all three. Glover knew how important it was to get clear of that obstacle. And he did it. What a change this race will be towards the championship standings, and what a change this would be if it holds on for BK Glover. .6, the gap is growing. Glover's no longer at a disadvantage. And remember, this is all in reaction to Artyom Kozlov, who did gain a decent amount, gained about 5 seconds. Importantly, put 10 seconds between themselves and Mia Valdez, who's now the last car on lead lap. And just in front, I believe. No, I believe that is still Lucero. It is Lucero still ahead. Mia Valdez, not really close. There's Valdez in the 34, for those wondering. So several cars in front of that group. Glover's gotten around Crane. Astor Crane sitting in 11th right now. Not a bad run for the Roz Greaves racing team, all things considered, because that team is one of the two teams that did not invest in upgrades. They will have to wait until after the 500. Four cars out, 2 with engine failures, Rogers and Shufin Zhang. Both of them will have 10-place grid drops for Nashville. And it's a Honda and a Toyota with engine issues. Michelin up ahead. Will be a challenge for Glover to try to get around. The easy part there for Glover is that the gap between himself and Porter has gone from 2 seconds to 4.3. So if he needs to take a little bit more time to get around Michelin than he could, he's not going to take that time, though. pretty quickly to dispatch Michelin. Michelin, I don't think fighting that hard either. Kovalkiewicz up ahead, and then it's Ishibashi once again. And Kovalkiewicz will lead Glover around and open the door. And Glover going to use this time now to get around Kovalkiewicz. Kovalkiewicz sitting in the 9th spot right now. Glover gets around Kinoshita once again. And the laps continue to tick away for Glover. We'll go through the field. Kinoshita right now sitting in a very abysmal spot. The 32 car right now sitting 20th. The big solace right now is that Shufin Zhang's not had a good night. She's still scoring enough points that right now Porter doesn't pass her in the standings. Alexander's not close enough to, and Glover was more than a race out entering. So she'll still be points leader. But the alarm bells have got to ring for the 32 car if she wants to become a 2-time world champion. You saw there's the 96 of Kovalkiewicz going through. Kovalkiewicz, as we mentioned, up into the 8th spot here. 96 car, 2 laps down. First car, 2 laps down. For the back, Astrid Crane. Astrid Crane in the 10th spot. Got around Takani. Crane now holding on to the top 10. Takani in 11th place right now with Simona Leroux and Evangeline Porter in this group, and Porter struggling to get through and losing time to Glover. If there was a pursuit for the race lead for Porter, that pursuit, I think, is well and truly dashed at this point. I think the biggest question right now is if a yellow comes out, would it be enough to help? Michelin down in the 21st position. Only person lower is Sakura Ishibashi. Tied the wall in lap 1. The car's not been the same since, but Michelin's still pushing on, hoping that something happens here in the next 14 laps. Nicole Lechty, 6th place, behind Simona Leroux, but ahead of Artyom Kozlov. Kozlov sitting in the 3rd spot on the racetrack, looking at a podium for car 3. What a start of the race that they had, but what a way it fell apart for them. They've been sitting about 10 seconds back from start time, gaining a little bit of time on Glover and on Porter, but not enough to be substantial with coming to 16 laps to go. You see there is Esther Hofson. Hofson in the 13th spot alongside Cameron Jackson. Teammates working together there. They are both alongside Kage Kobayashi battling for position. This is 13th, 14th, and 15th on the racetrack. Marcus Petrovic not in that conversation. Petrovic 5 laps down at this point. in 17th. There is Natalia Velisevic. Velisevic, last car 1 lap down. And right now just sitting ahead of David Wessel. Wessel sitting 4 laps down in 16th. Catherine Hart in the 15th position just ahead of him. I'm saying trouble for Juliet Takani. What has happened to Takani? Trying to search and pursue for a black and white Oculus machine that is leaving pit lane now. So a pit stop for Takani. Interesting. That puts Takani well and truly outside the top 10 here. Elise Alexander right now sitting in the 18th position. Not a great time for Alexander, but next to nobody in the top 10 in points. Had a good night. Wyatt Jones, not a terrible night. 9th place right now for the 25 team. Ahead of Mia Valdez. Valdez now in 4th place, the last car running on the lead lap. There's Catherine Hart there, as we mentioned earlier, in the 14th spot now. And we circle all the way back to BK Glover, coming to 10 laps to go. It's been a long ride for BK Glover. Different teams. Different manufacturers. Glover's career started in 2010 as a long-term replacement for Highlight Racing after the passing of Michael Alexander in his helicopter crash in 2008. Glover filled in some massive shoes. Filled in the shoes of the most dominant world champion we've seen as far as single season world championships went. Michael Alexander did a fantastic job. Elise Alexander, Michael's daughter, now shares the same racetrack as the driver that was earmarked to replace him back in that 2010 season. He raced alongside greats, was teammates with Rita Lechty at the end of her career. Was tipped as a blue chip prospect, a potential future world champion, at a time where there was a lot of competition between drivers in the open wheel and the stock car markets. Glover could have gone in either direction. Highlight Racing came knocking in 2010, and he's been here ever since. But when he started with that Highlight team, it wasn't the Highlight team that Michael Alexander won the 07 title with. It wasn't the same equipment. It wasn't the same cars. It wasn't the same personnel. Never immediately found that success. He went his own way, found a star in motorsports, got some success before the Ford engine issues of 2018 reared their head and left Glover and his team scrambling. He shut the team down. And joined Team Impulse. Team boss, Asumi Matsuo, looked at Glover as a consistent, reliable, dependable hand as they tried to pursue their way to the top. For what it's worth, Glover's never won in Impulse colors. Did not win the entire time the team was sponsored by Vodafone or by Panasonic. You can tell he's a little bit excited. when he was told this year he got the Dawn, the black and red. Got to lean into it a little bit. He's got black and red on both of his cars. The white car, the Verizon machine's got the white stripe down the middle. The big distinguisher between those two cars. 2 laps to go for Glover. 3 miles left in hand. One of the most important races. If you ask him right after this race, he's going to say this is probably more important than the 500. You ask him in May, it's still going to be up there. He will come to the white flag. 1 lap to go for BK Glover. The driver from Mineral Wells, Texas. A 45-minute drive due west for the local kid. Turned contender, turned race winner. The legend continues. He'll get around Ishibashi for one last time. He is in the clear out of 4. BK Glover returns to victory lane. He wins at Texas. The American Heart Association 600 belongs to one of Texas' own. Evangeline Porter finishes second once again at Texas Motor Speedway. And Artyom Kozlov completes the podium. It's a 1-3 for Team Impulse. A much needed result for Kozlov after the start of the season they've had. But for BK Glover, it is a race win for the first time since Fontana in 2018. 6 years of waiting, of frustrations, of runner-ups, of being the perennial bridesmaid, of being the anchor. The spotlight is on him. As the field comes down pit lane, the running board will be at the top of your screen. BK Glover, the race winner, by 2.8 seconds over Evangeline Porter. Artyom Kozlov, 7.3 seconds from the race lead, rounding out the podium in 3rd. Mia Valdez in 4th, rounding out those on the lead lap. It was a very interesting race with only 1 caution in it. Nicole Lecty, top 5, the defending champion, back into contention here. Natalia Vulesovic in 6th. Also a lap down. Alicia Kovalkiewicz continues a decent form, running up to 7th place after starting 24th. Simona Leroux in 8th. Red Bull Highlight Racing are flying right now after the start that they've had this season. Wyatt Jones, back-to-back top 10 after being top 10 in Mexico, top 10 here at Texas. Asher Crane secures a top 10 after starting this race with no investment in development. Cameron Jackson just barely missed out on the top 10, 11th place at home for the Dragon Motorsports leader. Esther Hofston just behind him. Teammates there 11th and 12th. Kage Kobayashi in 13th. 3 laps down. But, importantly, making it with no engine issues. Catherine Hart in 14th place for Phantom Motorsports. Not where they wanted to be. Julia Takani had to make a late pit stop for a tire issue. 15th place for her. David Wessel, 16th place. What seemed like it was going to start so well of a weekend went south in a hurry, but Wessel 16th there. Marcus Petrovich in 17th. Then Elise Alexander 18th on the road for the 11-car team. Kinemitsu Kinoshita still the points leader, but the margins at the front have trimmed significantly. 19th place for Kinoshita, 20th for Lucero, 21st for Mateus Michelin, who tagged the wall lap 1 and never recovered. 8 laps down for him. Sakura Ishibashi saw the race through to the end. 16 laps, though, is the difference between her and her former teammate. Now won the race. Xufeng Zhang with an engine failure, 23rd. Thomas Rogers with an engine failure as well, 24th. And then 2 cars out because of the crash that happened on lap 72. Stephanie Porter-Kelly and Anastasius von Sonnen out, 25th and 26th on the road here in Texas. A wild time here at Texas Motor Speedway. We get to do it all again at Nashville next week. The road to the 111th Indianapolis 500 is well and truly underway. We'll see you again in Nashville in Music City at the Super Speedway for a race on concrete. Until next time, on behalf of ABN Sports, the AT&T Champ Car World Series, and everyone here For ABN Studios, I'm Carmen Sienna. Thank you all so much. Stay safe, stay healthy, enjoy the week ahead. We'll see you next time from Music City. So long, everybody.